Okay, we're here today to put a little video out for you guys that may not have transplanted plants before. And I'm going to transplant a couple of cabbage plants for first grade. A purple one, maybe two purple ones, and a green one. And I'm going to also transplant a lettuce plant because there's a little bit of difference in the way we're going to do this. But we start by raking our plot nice and smooth and maybe having some of the kids pick out the bigger chunks and throw them down into this area. And then, if you'll just take one of these, they come out very easily. You can see the root system that's developed on here. And we're going to want 3 to 4 good leaves on this when it goes into the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and take this leaf here and pinch it off. Ah! Okay, plant didn't feel a thing, I hope. Okay, and then we're going to plant this up to a depth right up to about the first leaf. And roots will end up coming out down below here. Take your nice garden implement here. And then we're going to dig a hole. And when we get to where we think we're about the right depth, we're going to try the plant out in the hole. And that looks about right. It looks like when I bury it back, it'll be up to about the first leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. Going to put the soil up around it, pat it down nice with my hands. And then later on, we're going to make sure this gets some good water before we move on. Now, on the card that came with this, it said that it wants a planting distance of 2 feet between plants. We can get more spacing out of our garden if we plant one near the edge this way, because some of that 2-foot distance from the center, 1 foot will go out this way, and 1 foot will go in this way. So if we wanted, we could plant another one on this edge and then a couple of lettuce plants in between. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to take one of the purple ones out. And these are cabbages. They'll get big. You can see it's got a well-established root system. And this leaf here is looking kind of sorry. We don't need any sorry leaves on there, so I'm going to go ahead and pinch that off. And these are all going to go in our compost pile after a while. Okay, so 1 foot, 2 feet. I could plant it right there, but I'm going to plant it over by the edge, like I did this other one, and that'll give me room to put some lettuce plants in between. And we take the dirt out of the hole, leave it nearby because we're going to need to put it back in there when we're done. We carefully place the dirt back around it, press it down, and sometimes it doesn't hurt to have kind of a bowl-shaped depression so that when you're watering, it'll fill up with water. And then maybe when it rains, get a natural rain, it won't all run off onto the sidewalk or into the mulch. Okay, so that's our 2 cabbages. We planted them a little bit deeper than we're going to plant the lettuce. Now the spacing on our lettuce plants tells me about 8 to 10 inches apart. I'm going to shoot for 8. I think we can probably do some pretty intensive gardening out here. Same sort of deal, root system, leaves, and I do have kind of a loose leaf here, but it doesn't appear to be broken, so I'm going to leave it on there. If it gets loose later, we can break it off. And I'm going to come over about a foot from my cabbage plant because cabbage leaves spread out quite a bit. Pardon. And this one I'm going to plant right at soil level here. Lettuce leaves are not going to sit there and shoot out any roots if I bury it deeper than that. So we want this one to be pretty much at that level. And you can measure it in the hole. If it's not deep enough, go a little more. There we go. Firm it down around it. And we have our first lettuce plant planted. And I think we may have room for one more over here if we kind of go at a diagonal. And we're going to put one more in for first grade here. Okay, now notice this one does have a couple of broken leaves. Those won't survive and they'll end up taking nutrients for a while from this plant. So we're going to take a fingernail and pinch them off, put them in the compost pile after a while. And there we go. Pop it in the hole, backfill it with the dirt. And we're ready to go here. All that is left to be done here is to water these plants in. It's probably the most important step here. If we left this overnight without the water, the soil's quite dry, they would be completely wilted down in the morning. So if I can reach over here and turn this water on without spraying both of us.
Might want to tell them how to do that too, but
turning on the water will be another lesson for another
okay,
day.
yes.
So we don't want to just really hose them down hard. Put your thumb over the hose a little bit. We can even use the sidewalk to spray it in there and bounce it in. And I noticed that one of my lettuces is kind of leaning over. I'll probably straighten that up when I'm done. And we want to make sure we get enough water on there to soak down into that root system. Okay, that should be fine for now. Turn off our water source, and I'll come back, straighten up anything that might have gotten knocked down and maybe firm it down into the hole a little bit better. And then you always want to make sure that you clean up afterwards. Get all of your garden tools, put them back in the shed. Take any plant material that you may have broken off and take it over, put it in the compost pile, and lock up the shed, and you're ready to go for the day. Cut.